Hello everyone, you're watching In Case You Missed It, and this is what happened in round 14. Well, we start with the lone Sunday game at the MCG, and after last week's performance, many weren't expecting much between traditional rivals Collingwood and Carlton. Now, an injury hit Blues, though, showed a lot of spirit and fight as they fell to the Pies by 20 points. Collingwood, on the other hand, have moved into the top four for the first time this season. Carlton lost Levi Casbolt before the first bounce to a dislocated finger. Defender Lockie Plowman, the next casualty with a knee injury.
Got some bone bruising to the inside of that knee, potential medial, but we'll just have to wait and scan that during the week to find out.
Have you ruled out the ACL?
Yeah, the boys are pretty confident it's not an ACL.
Ruckman Matthew Cruiser followed with an ankle injury, but the Blues took it right up to the Pies in what was a fiery affair, tensions boiling over at half-time. Patrick Cripps was outstanding, while Charlie Curnow, fresh from signing a new deal, wowed the crowd. But once the Pies got going, they were hard to stop. The tough grind, too much for Adam Treloar, who cramped in both hamstrings, Collingwood eventually prevailing.
They fought it out all the way to the end, the Blues. But when the siren sounds at the MCG, the Magpies will be in fourth position on the ladder. And that is reason enough to smile if you're a Collingwood fan.
So the Pies continue their winning ways. Moving on now to the Western Bulldogs, and they suffered their fifth straight loss in devastating fashion, no less. The Dogs pipped in the final seconds by the Brews in another thrilling encounter between the two sides. It was the Dogs full of bounce early after jumping to a handy buffer, and with 2 minutes left, Billy Gowers looked to have landed the decisive blow. But two terrific efforts by Mad Jack Daw in defence, and then a kick out of bounds on the full from Bulldog Mitch Wallace saw the Roos respond through their captain Jack Ziebell.
Long ball down the line to a nest of players in the air. It gets to the back. It finds its way to Higgins. Handball into the centre. Luke McDonald. Ahern. Now Big Goldie. Back to Higgins. I'm not sure it was the right option. Higgins runs onto it. Over the top to Benny Brown. He'll get closed down. He gets a foot to it. The goal's going to be kicked by Ziebell, and the Kangaroos at the front with 20 seconds left. Wow!
The 2-point win made it a total of 7 points, separating the sides in the past three clashes and put the Kangas back into the top 8. So while the Roos skipper may have kicked the match-winning goal, it wasn't the highlight of his week. Ziebell was reunited with his dog after 4 long months earlier this week. Flash was taken from the Star Roos family home back in Wodonga, but after a social media campaign, the pair was brought back together. Still on the puppy theme, good news coming out of the kennel. The Bulldogs mascot Caesar is about to become a father. Isn't that lovely? Well, young Brisbane defender Harris Andrews is set to be released from hospital on Sunday night. The Lion was admitted late on Saturday after his condition worsened following a shocking incident involving GWS forward Jeremy Cameron. And that is why the Giant will be very much on the footy agenda this week. Cameron looks set for a date with the tribunal on Tuesday night following this incident. Andrews was knocked out cold and needed 4 stitches in his jaw. Given the severity of the impact and the high contact, it's likely match review officer Michael Christian will send this one straight to the tribunal. The pair shook hands, though, after the game, and it all looked pretty amicable, Cameron insisting there was no malice in the hit.
I just saw the ball coming in, and I like to play the ball really hard. It was unfortunate that I hit him in the head. Definitely didn't want to hurt him and hurt him like that, but just played the ball on the merits, and I like hitting it nice and hard.
So no malice intended?
No, definitely not.
That incident overshadowed what was an important win for the Giants as they try to claw their way into the top 8 after a poor start to the season. The Lions did well to hang in there for most of the game without their best defender. Veteran Luke Hodge still with plenty of spring in his step as he reached new heights at his new club with 30 touches and a goal.
Hodge up and good grab, turning back the clock.
Oh, just walked it back a decade.
Brought the crowd to life.
Brilliant stuff there from Hodgie. All right, we're going to move on now to Adelaide, and it's Kind of weird to be talking about the Crows because they've got the bye this week, but they're certainly still making news. The club calling a press conference on Saturday to end speculation surrounding their infamous pre-season camp. Coach Don Pike and head of football Brett Burton announcing the club has ended its relationship with leadership consultants Collective Mind.
So we don't have to go into all the specifics, but what I will say is that there is no lingering issues out of the camp. So that is categorical.
Were any players stripped?
No.
No. Were any players blindfolded?
Well, there was blindfolding for a bus trip.
What happened on that bus trip?
Well, I'm not going to go into the detail.
Well, you don't just blindfold players on a bus trip, do you?
So part of it, part of the, as I said before, part of the focus for that was around resilience and how we actually handle some adversity, handle some anxiety, and that was all part of that, almost to create that atmosphere environment of the unknown. That was one component of it.
Was the Richmond theme song played on that bus trip?
Yes.
Repeatedly?
Not repeatedly.
So once?
Once.
Interesting stuff there. There is some good news, however, for the Crows forward. Tom Lynch re-signing with the club for another 3 years. And I'm sure Rory Sloane's signature is next on their priority list. Moving on to our play of the round now. And Isaac Smith kicked a great running goal in Hawthorn's 53-point win over Gold Coast in Launceston. But his best drive of the day came before the match. The star midfielder took charge of the team bus and might have a career path sorted when his playing days come to an end.
Drive the bus on every away trip. So
is that a tradition?
Yeah, just trying to get a few more things outside footy going for me. So post-footy, times are tough at Hawthorn. We can't afford a bus driver, but it's all good.
Talk about steering your team to victory. His effort, though, perhaps just beaten in the brilliant stakes by teammate Taylor Duray.
Oh! Taylor Duray has leaped into the clear Tasmanian air and taken an absolute screamer.
Where did that come from?
Now, outside of Doc's mark, there weren't many highlights. Despite still conditions in Launceston, both sides struggled in front of goal. 2-metre Peter Wright had the chance to kick the Suns' first fourth-quarter goal in a month, but missed from point-blank range. Gold Coast finally breaking through to end the drought.
Oh, it's advantage. We're going to see one.
Yes.
A Gold Coast goal at last to Sexton.
Well, that was an anticlimax. To Friday night now, and top four hopefuls Port Adelaide and Melbourne played out a brutal arm wrestle at Adelaide Oval. There were 188 tackles. Sam Powell-Pepper laying claim to 17 of those, to be just 2 off the all-time record in a game. The Power fans were clearly happy Ollie Wines had re-signed during the week, and the young star fittingly finished with ball in hand in the 10-point win.
They're in the 4 tonight, and Melbourne have got a lot of deep thinking.
That's 2 losses in a row now for the D's after winning 6 games straight. Let's rewind, I should say, now to Thursday night, and the Bombers faced a daunting task travelling to play West Coast, having not registered a win in Perth since 2013. But I don't think anyone saw this coming. Essendon quickly put any doubts to bed after a blistering 6-0-0 first quarter, silencing the hostile crowd and setting up a valuable road victory. The S Brigade doing the damage, Smith, Stringer and Sard providing dash and 4 opening term goals.
Smith for a sixth goal in the opening term. Look at the Bombers. What a start.
On the flip side, the Eagles looked lost without key forwards Josh Kennedy and Jack Darling, who both sit in the top 10 on the Coleman medal race. They had 59 inside 50s and kicked just the 6 goals. The coach, though, not using injuries as an excuse.
Nothing to do with personnel. We just couldn't win the contest in the midfield the way we wanted to. And then they broke tackles and broke lines, which gave them goal side opportunities. And they were too tough for us in the first quarter, which is really disappointing for us.
The loss was their first against a team other than Sydney for the season. Now, just before we wrap up, the next generation of stars took centre stage on the MCG on Sunday, and there were a couple of sons of guns that showed some class. Vic Metro continued its undefeated run in the National Under-18s Championships, defeating Vic Country by 26 points. Potential Bulldogs father-son Riley West was terrific in the midfield with 20 touches, while Oscar Brownless wowed the crowd with with this brilliant snap, a goal to rival his dad's famous MCG moment.
Brownless with the check side kick, goes right to the goal line and through for a goal! The son of a gun with a special moment!
What a goal, Oscar Brownless.
Well, whatever he does from here, he can go home and say to his old man, did you ever kick a goal like that on the MCG, Dad? Because that was an absolute beauty.
He's got to play on and they've got to take a mark. It's got to be Ablett or Brownless. Oh, what a finish. 8 seconds left.
If he kicks a point, it'll be another tie.
Oh, don't tell me.
Oh!
The siren's going to sound.
How'd you like that for pressure?
Well, his coach, Malcolm Blight, knows all about that.
This is your moment, Billy. He'll go back and belt this straight through the middle.
Yes, I'd back him.
Well, he's had a rock and rolling season. Down and out, and back he comes. Can he finish it off with a goal? Billy, you are king of Geelong.
The monkey's off the back, Billy.
Well, I think it might be back on, Billy. Oscar's definitely got you covered there. To the ladder now, and West Coast's losses cost them dearly. The Eagles dropping to 3rd, Richmond and Sydney ahead of them now. Collingwood have catapulted into 4th, while the Roos are just holding on to their spot inside the 8. Hawthorn and the Giants are on the cusp. The Bombers move into 12th. The Lions and Blues, though, still on the bottom of the ladder. And that's another episode of In Case You Missed It, done and dusted. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next week.